Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're diving into something that might just completely change how you look at your career trajectory. I want you to think about a core assumption almost all of us hold about workplace success. From the time we're little kids in school, we're taught this very simple, straight-line equation. Work the hardest, be the absolute best at what you do, and you're naturally going to rise to the top. But what if I told you that this exact equation, this relentless pursuit of raw, unfiltered brilliance, is actually full of hidden tripwires? What if the conventional wisdom we've all bought into is missing a massive piece of the puzzle? Today, we're unpacking the secrets behind professional power. And trust me, the rules of this game are a lot more complex than just putting your head down and doing good work.
So can being too good at your job actually get you fired? On the surface, that sounds completely absurd, doesn't it? It goes against literally everything we believe about merit. You'd think being the smartest person in the room, the one who cracks the toughest problems faster than anybody else, would absolutely guarantee promotions and raises. But we're going to explore a really counterintuitive truth here. Raw talent and pure brilliance can actually destroy your career if you're careless with them. It turns out that being too good, if you don't manage it with some serious emotional intelligence and strategic awareness, can trigger defensive reactions from the exact people who hold the keys to your advancement.
Okay, let's dive right into Section 1, the danger of brilliance.
This brings us to a fundamental rule of human dynamics, laid out famously by author Robert Greene. It's Law 1, never outshine the master. The core idea here is pretty stark, but absolutely crucial. Never make the person above you feel insecure, threatened, or inferior, even if you are, in fact, way more talented or capable than they are. Now, I know this is often a really bitter pill to swallow, especially for highly competent people. You naturally want to flex your skills and show what you can do, but outshining leadership is consistently recognized as a fatal career mistake. If your brilliance casts a shadow over your boss, you're not winning. You're actually actively undermining your own foundation within the company.
Which leads us right into Section 2, inside the ego trap. So people in positions of power often care deeply about their status and ego. And hey, this isn't necessarily malicious, it's just a deeply ingrained human trait. When someone reaches a leadership role, their whole identity often gets tangled up in their authority and their competence. So if you're constantly showing that you're smarter, more capable, or just more impressive than your boss, leader, or mentor, you're unintentionally attacking their sense of status. In their eyes, you aren't a high-performing asset helping the team, you're starting to look like a direct threat to their position and their pride.
Let's make this a bit more tangible. Imagine you're working on this massive, high-stakes project. A huge, complex problem pops up and completely stumps everyone, including your manager. But you step up, you figure it out, and you solve the problem brilliantly. Huge win for the company, right? But in the process of rolling out this solution, you publicly show, maybe in a big all-hands meeting, that you were the one who cracked the code. You inadvertently highlight that you're way smarter or more capable than your manager in this specific area. And you claim all the glory. Because, well, you earned it, right?
Well, just notice the stark contrast in that room. To your coworkers, you're an absolute hero. You're getting admiration, high fives, immense respect. You've totally proven your worth to the team. But to your manager, they aren't feeling pride. They're perceiving a threat. And what's really interesting about this disconnect is just how dangerous it is. You might strut out of that meeting room feeling like a total rock star, completely oblivious to the fact that the person who literally controls your performance reviews, your bonuses, and your promotions is sitting there feeling exposed and undermined.
And that brings us to this dark, quiet little thought that starts forming in your manager's head. This person could replace me. I want you to just pause for a second and let that heavy realization sink in. Because the exact moment that thought enters your supervisor's mind, the whole game changes. Your greatest professional success has literally just mutated into a massive liability. You're no longer their dependable right hand. You're a ticking time bomb that they need to defuse, sideline, or eventually push out of the organization altogether just to protect their own livelihood.
So, how do we fix this? Let's look at Section 3, the smarter approach.
All right, here is your actionable toolkit for managing up. First off, let your abilities make the boss look good. When you have a brilliant idea, try presenting it in a way that allows your manager to champion it. Second, show competence without humiliation. You can totally be the expert without correcting your boss in front of the entire department. Moving down the list, give credit strategically. Share the spotlight. Acknowledge their guidance, even if you did the heavy lifting. Make your boss feel respected at all times. Deference is honestly a really cheap currency that buys you enormous freedom. And finally, don't constantly compete for attention. You really don't need to win every single interaction.
By demonstrating your value while carefully navigating the fragility of the managerial ego, you transform yourself from a threat into an absolutely indispensable ally.
Let's tie this all together in Section 4, the true nature of power. The crucial takeaway here is that true power requires a very delicate balancing act. Power isn't only about being the best, it's about making powerful people comfortable with your success. Yes, for sure, you absolutely must have the skills, the drive, and that upward trajectory. But that upward movement is going to hit a concrete ceiling if it causes intense emotional discomfort for the people who hold the keys to your promotion. You have to actively manage their comfort levels as you rise. Basically, your success has to feel like a win for them, not a reflection of their own inadequacies.
Which brings us to this one-line mic drop from the text. Be brilliant, but don't make the person above you feel small. It perfectly captures the dual mandate of the modern professional. And yeah, there's definitely a bit of tasteful irony here, isn't there? We spend years honing our crafts, getting degrees, perfecting our skills, only to realize that surviving and thriving at the highest levels often requires a secondary, totally unspoken job of coddling leadership egos. But hey, knowing this is your strategic advantage. You can still be brilliant. You just have to wrap that brilliance in a layer of absolute tactical empathy for the hierarchy above you.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final, provocative thought. How will you handle the optics of your next big workplace win? Think about it. The next time you solve that impossible problem or land that massive client, how are you going to frame it? Are you going to take all the glory and risk triggering the ego trap? Or are you going to strategically share the credit, making the person above you feel taller, smarter, and incredibly grateful to have you on their team? Try applying this secret of professional power tomorrow morning, and just watch how much smoother your path upward becomes. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I highly encourage you to reflect on these dynamics the next time you step into the office.